How's it going, everyone? This is the George here. And yes, reviews are finally back. And we're going to start this off with a review of The Long Walk. This is directed by Francis Lawrence, who directed most of the Hunger Games movies and I Am Legend. And stars, Mike Phillips, sorry, and stars Cooper Hoffman, Daniel Johnson, and Mark Hamill. And this is based off the Stephen King novel, The Long Walk, which was written way before the Hunger Games. So for anyone that are saying, "Oh, this is just another Hunger Games ripoff," no, this book was written way before Hunger Games was. Francis Lawrence just specializes in doing movies based off of dystopian futures. And in this movie, it's a dystopian future where another civil war happened in America. And so now it's a totalitarian regime run by the Major, played by Mark Hamill, who we know as Luke Skywalker, the voice of Joker, and various other roles. I think people forgot he was in Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back as well. But anyways, in this future, young men, teenagers, mainly boys, sign up for this walk, and they are and one boy from each state is picked by lottery. They're not forced to do it, but due to the economic situation, the grand money prize and the one wish you can get if you're the last walker, these boys are desperate and they sign up for it. And each one has their own wish, their own reason for doing this. And for most of the movie, they're going on this walk. And whoever can't handle the walk, whoever slows down, doesn't walk, leaves the pathway, well, they're out. And it's not, oh, you're out, go home kind of thing. It's more like you're out and you get executed. And the one thing I respect a lot about this movie is they don't hold back on that aspect. And I like that there's a nice build up where it's like, oh, there's like a warning, couple warnings for a couple of contestants. Nothing happens, but when the first contestant just breaks and they just can't do it anymore, they suffer a very brutal, bloody death. And it's very uncomfortable, but I think it's, and it could be considered risky because of the source material, but it's pulled off very well. In fact, I would say this whole movie is made very well. And the camera's always moving because these characters are always moving. There's For over 90% of the movie, these characters are just walking. The few exceptions are the beginning of the movie before the long walk begins, the end of the movie when the long walk ends, but it's a very brief end, and the couple of flashbacks with the one character of Ray, played by Cooper Hoffman. And with the exception of those scenes that I mentioned, these characters are always walking. They can't slow down. Even if they stop to go to the bathroom, they get a couple of warnings that they're taking too long. So it's really a really tough walk. And you would think at first, oh, okay, it doesn't seem so bad. But once their ankles are going, they're mentally getting drained, they're feeling hungry, they can't hold it with going to the bathroom, they're getting sick, and other stuff happening, you kind of realize that the long walk is a lot harder than you would think it is. And I have to say, the acting in this movie was spot on. David Johnson and Cooper Hoffman do such a great job and have great chemistry as these two boys that meet each other, become friends right away, and their friendship and chemistry, you buy into it. And this movie has the usual Stephen King themes of friendship, strong brotherhood between guys, between boys, just hanging in there. You know, you got the asshole douchey characters in there as well. But really, it's these two characters, Ray and Peter. I think that was David Johnson's character's name. The way these two work together, the way that these two, are able to help one another out, just works so well. And David Johnson, like his character to me was the MVP of this movie because despite all the horrible stuff that's happening, despite what everyone else is going through, despite his rough background based on what he explained when he shares what happened with him, he is still very upbeat, trying to help his new friend, trying to encourage the other contestants as well. He's never putting anyone down. He's trying to be upbeat, trying to be positive. He's probably smiles the most out of any other character in this movie. to me, he gives the best performance of this movie. Cooper Hoffman, first of all, I didn't know that was Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. Rest in peace. He was in the Hunger Games movies that Francis Lawrence directed, but Cooper Hoffman also did such a terrific job in this movie as well. His character's motivations as to why he's doing it, the flashbacks that revisit him and his dad, and Judy Greer as his mom. In the few scenes that she's in, she does a great job. Mark Hamill as this major, this horrible douchebag major, his line delivery, his posture, the intimidation works so well for Mark Hamill. And you never really get to see like what his eyes are looking like because he's always got these sunglasses on. But Mark Hamill, also terrific job. And he's not even in the movie as much as the other two characters. And in fact, all these other characters are in the movie. But yet, what's interesting is I think a few years ago he said he was considering retiring from acting, but yet he still has it. He still has it. He does such a great job in this movie. The rest of the actors do a great job as well. Ben Wong, sorry if I mispronounced that last name, does a really good job as well. And I have to say, like, the contestants that are participating in this walk, like, at first you're probably thinking, oh, that guy's a jerk. Wonder when he's going to get killed off. But really, these characters, regardless of when they have their fine moments or their worst moments, right before they're out, they open up and you begin to realize that they're really not a jerk. They're really not a bad person. They have their own motivations. They have their own struggles. And right before they go, like, they really show their redemption and make up for what they did or what they have said. And I have to say, some of these death scenes are really hard to look at. In fact, even the scenes that aren't death scenes, but characters getting hurt are just hard to look at. Like, one character's ankle twists really badly. One character, before he dies, his legs get ran over by one of the tanks that's following them to make sure they're doing this walk. And, like, the rules are very specific as well, which adds to the stakes of this movie. And, going into this movie, you would think because the director of most of the Hunger Games movies is doing this would be another Hunger Games, but it really isn't. Like, this is really just a dystopian society movie that it is based off a Stephen King novel that has that Stephen King themes inside it, and it handles those themes so well. I would say I feel like the ending kind of got rushed a little bit towards the end. It kind of felt like once the end happened, and I know the movie's been out for a couple weeks, but I'm not going to spoil who wins once the winner happens, and once the outcome of the winner happens, it kind of feels like it ends abruptly. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I feel like overall, just the camera work, just like the setting pieces, just like the reminder of what day, how many miles that they have walked. I think like Francis Lawrence handled this so well. And I really hope he directs more movies like this, whether it's more movies based off of Stephen King novels or try other dystopian stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the Hunger Games movies. I love Catching Fire. It's still probably my favorite movie that he directed. Wasn't big on Mockingjay Part 1. Did like Part 2. I did like The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I can't wait to see what he does with the upcoming one as well. It's coming out next year. But, I don't want to become like another David Yates where he's just only known for directing a movie based on one particular book series. Because at this point, David Yates is only like, I feel like first thing you would hear about David Yates is, oh yeah, he directed Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix and every other Harry Potter movie, including all the Fantastic Beasts movies since then. So it's nice to see him take on something else like this because, first of all, he's good at dystopian society movies. Like, I mean, this is also the guy that directed I Am Legend as well before he went into the Hunger Games franchise. But The Long Walk is like a different kind of dystopian movie. And, where the Hunger Games, everyone's trying to kill each other. Here, it's like, for the most part, the walkers, regardless of how they might talk to one another, there feels like a brotherhood with these characters, particularly David Johnson, Cooper Hoffman, and a few of the guys that they interact with. Like, they call themselves the Musketeers. But like, even as like the circle dwindles and like characters are talking, it's like there feels like a respect. And when a character dies, one of them says, hey, regardless of which one of us wins, let's respect this person's wish. Let's help this person's family out. And they all agree to it. Like, there just feels like a level of respect because they're in it to provide for themselves. Like, they entered it. It's not like the Hunger Games where you're reaped. Like, they entered this lottery. They got picked in this lottery to represent their state. But yeah, overall, The Long Walk, probably one of the better Stephen King novels adapted to the big screen that are out there. Great acting, great cinematography, great camera work. I've always enjoyed the Stephen King films adapted into movies, or at least some of them, maybe not all of them, but some of them, like Shawshank Redemption, Stand By Me, the 2017 It. Those movies hit well for me, and I hope to see more of his novels get adapted to the big screen. Particularly because Long Walk reminds me that Stephen King adaptations to the big screen, when they're done right, they are done so well. And this movie was done well. This is probably going to be one of my favorite movies of 2025. And there's actually been a lot of really good movies that came out this year. And The Long Walk is now on that list. And I'm going to give The Long Walk an A minus. And I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't already. And The Long Walk, have you seen it? What'd you think about it? And what movie based off a Stephen King novel is your favorite? For me, probably The Shawshank Redemption, followed by Stand By Me. Let me know in the comments down below, and I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, or if you haven't, please share this with someone that wants to see The Long Walk, and hope to see you guys real soon. Take care, everyone.